Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching the weather news forecast. Today, we meet again at a very special moment, as the meteorological calendar has entered the peak of the Atlantic hurricane season. Typically, the early and middle days of September mark the time when the number of tropical cyclones reaches its annual maximum, with powerful storms forming off the coast of Africa, traveling across the vast Atlantic Ocean, and heading toward the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, and sometimes directly impacting the United States. This year, however, the weather map is painting a very different picture. There are no tropical depressions currently developing. No areas of concern marked on the 7-day outlook of the National Hurricane Center. And the entire tropical Atlantic basin is unusually quiet. But experts warn this calm does not mean the season is over. It may simply be the calm before the storm. First, let's look at some specific numbers to put things into perspective. As of September 8, 2025, the Atlantic hurricane season has produced 6 named storms. At first glance, that may not sound like much. But in fact, it is slightly higher than last year, when only 5 named systems had formed by this time in 2024. The real difference lies in their strength and impacts. By early September last year, we had already seen 3 significant hurricanes that caused damage. This year, only one storm has reached noteworthy intensity, Hurricane Erin, and fortunately, it stayed entirely at sea without affecting land. This has created the impression that the 2025 season is unusually quiet. Yet meteorologists stress this is only a temporary lull. Based on atmospheric and oceanic signals, particularly the eastward movement of the Madden-Julian Oscillation, MJO, conditions are expected to become much more favorable for tropical cyclone development after September 13 to 14. In other words, after about a week of calm, the risk of strong storms developing across the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Central Atlantic will rise again. While we wait for hurricanes to return, several parts of the Caribbean and the Bahamas are already dealing with unsettled weather caused by remnants of earlier disturbances. The remnants of Invest 91L, which was once projected to become a tropical depression, have now weakened. But they continue to leave behind a band of thunderstorms stretching across the Leeward Islands. From tonight into tomorrow, islands such as Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Saint Martin, Saint Barts, and St. Kitts and Nevis will experience scattered showers with thunderstorms and gusty winds offshore. Waterspouts are also possible, posing risks to fishermen and small vessels near the coast. Over the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, rainfall is expected to increase tomorrow. Radar currently shows patchy showers with little lightning, but as a tropical wave passes through, rainfall will become more widespread, particularly in the evenings and overnight, with daytime highs ranging from 31 to 34 degrees Celsius, 88 to 93 degrees Fahrenheit, and high humidity. The atmosphere here is already primed for scattered thunderstorms. Meanwhile, the Dominican Republic and Haiti are facing more severe conditions. Strong thunderstorms over inland and mountainous regions are producing daily rainfall totals of 50 to 75 millimeters, 2 to 3 inches. Runoff from steep slopes is rapidly flowing into valleys, causing localized flash flooding. Authorities have issued flood advisories, warning residents to avoid streams, creeks, and low-lying roads that may be cut off. The large number of lightning strikes also highlights the instability of the atmosphere. Jamaica is another hotspot, as a mid-level low-pressure system is fueling intense thunderstorm development. This evening, the capital Kingston and surrounding areas face the risk of strong storms with damaging winds, which may spread westward overnight. Coastal residents and fishermen are urged to be cautious as weather conditions could change abruptly. Cuba continues to experience its typical hot and humid thunderstorms. Afternoon convection forms inland, spreading outward and bringing localized heavy rainfall. The Cayman Islands, while less directly affected, are expected to see scattered showers increase midweek. On the other hand, the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao will enjoy mostly sunny days, with only isolated morning or evening showers, accompanied by 20 to 25 miles per hour winds and occasional choppy seas. In the Windward Islands, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, and Trinidad and Tobago, atmospheric moisture will rise between Tuesday and Thursday, producing more frequent showers, especially in Trinidad and Tobago later in the week. The Bahamas and South Florida, however, remain under the heaviest impact. A persistent trough has been fueling repeated thunderstorms, frequent lightning, and even waterspouts. Northern Bahamas islands such as Grand Bahama, Abaco, New Providence, and Andros have endured several days of heavy rainfall. Florida, too, has been plagued by scattered thunderstorms disrupting both road and air traffic. Experts say this pattern could last another 1 to 2 days before briefly calming down. But if the trough shifts southward by the weekend, storm activity may flare up again. Turning to the United States, the weather brings other major concerns. A massive high-pressure system, often called a heat dome, is forming over the central U.S., which will bring extreme heat to the central and southern states. Highs will range from 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 to 38 degrees Celsius, with many areas likely surpassing 100 degrees Fahrenheit later this week. Heat indices, or feels like temperatures, could climb to 105 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 to 42 degrees Celsius, posing risks of heat stress and related illnesses. In contrast, the east and west coasts will enjoy more comfortable conditions thanks to cooler air from passing cold fronts. However, scattered showers will still occur across parts of the Midwest and Great Lakes, including Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. While not particularly heavy, this rain will help ease long-standing drought conditions. Speaking of drought, much of the central U.S., the western states, and Texas remain under severe to exceptional drought, with vast areas marked in deep red on drought monitoring maps. This means major threats to agriculture, water supplies, and daily life. The one bright spot, heavy rainfall across Florida in recent days, has brought some local drought relief. Still, it's not just heat and drought. Severe storms are also a short-term risk. Forecasts show that today and tomorrow, the Texas Panhandle, Kansas, and Oklahoma could see strong thunderstorms capable of producing large hail, damaging winds, and even isolated tornadoes. These storms are expected to form in the late afternoon and evening. Fueled by surface heating and wind shear, residents are urged to remain vigilant, especially those traveling on highways or living in rural areas. Overall, this week's weather paints a striking contrast: the central U.S. under extreme heat, the southeast battling heavy rain and storms, and the Caribbean and Bahamas dealing with complex thunderstorms. And while the Atlantic currently shows no hurricane activity, after September 13 to 14, the risk of tropical cyclones will rise again. Experts predict that the 2025 hurricane season could resemble last year's, a late but intense burst of storms concentrated in late September and October. Ladies and gentlemen, today's forecast reminds us of one simple truth: the current calm is only temporary. The hurricane season is far from over. In fact, the most dangerous chapter may only just be beginning. We will continue to keep you updated with the fastest and most accurate information, so that you can stay prepared. Thank you for watching. If you found this report helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss the latest forecasts. Goodbye, and see you in the next edition of the Weather News Forecast.